this COVID crisis, was witnessed, tourism industry is one of the biggest industry in Sikkim, and the livelihoods that have been lost and the loss of revenues have been immense. In fact, for the hotels which have lost their business, because this happens to be the tourist season also, and during this tourist season, the hotels have suffered a revenue loss of nearly 94 crores, and the homestays, we have been promoting rural tourism in a very big way, and we have nearly 850 homestays which are operational, and they've also suffered a considerable revenue loss, which can be estimated in the order of about 12 crores. And travel agencies, again, the travel agencies and a number of allied businesses related to the tourism industry have also lost livelihoods, loss of revenues they have suffered, and the tour guides, the photographers, freelance photographers. So you will see that, the spillover effects on the economy of the state. There has been a considerable kind of setback, and the state government has held a number of rounds of discussions with the stakeholders, and we have made a major strategic kind of policy decisions which will to a large extent try and mitigate the losses that the industry has suffered. Of course, Sikkim was not severely affected by COVID crisis because of the very proactive measures that we had taken in stopping the inflow of tourists as early as February 12th or so, and that has saved Sikkim, and the number of instances of COVID as of now, even as of now, is only 10, the number of active cases. So that way, Sikkim has not really suffered, but the lockdown did create a substantial setback to the tourism industry in Sikkim, and this is what we are focused on right now. Sikkim government is very, very proactive, and the new government, which has now taken over, it's almost a year since they are in the governance, and you could see a lot of changes already happening. For example, the job cards. Anybody who wants a job under Manirega, under the Rural Development Department, can quickly approach the department, and within 24 hours a job card will be made available to them. So they could take up projects in the rural areas under the Manirega, and thus their livelihood can be they can earn a livelihood. Similarly, as of tour guides, we want to make the destinations much more attractive. A number of measures are being taken. The tourism infrastructure in the state is very well established under the Swadesh Darshan project. In fact, Sikkim is rated the first among all the states of India in terms of effective implementation of the funds under the Swadesh Darshan projects. And but these infrastructures, now we are focusing more on the paraphernalia, the kind of allied infrastructure that are required, the gap infrastructures that are required to make these destinations much more attractive. For example, a tourist who comes from outside the state, he roughly spends about 2.4 days on an average. Now we want to increase this length, and this will depend upon the kind of recreation facilities, the kind of attractions that we have. Although the entire Sikkim in itself, is a pristine beauty, and then you have the hills and the nature and the biodiversity and the people and the rich culture. So that itself is an attraction. In fact, one can compare Sikkim to the Amazons. Amazons, they say it is the lung of the planet. And similarly, Sikkim air is so very pure, and and that way it rejuvenates the health of a person. If one wants a break, and then Sikkim is one of the ideal destinations. So we wanted to make high value corridors. We want to promote conference tourism, events, what they call as incentive tourism. A lot of corporates can come, and then now that the Pakyong Airport has also been inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister, that is also operational. In between, it was during the monsoons, it was closed for some time because we had to widen the runway, and the Ministry of Civil Aviation had come forward to design a very specific RNPAR, revised navigation approach procedure for the aircrafts landing in Pakyong, specific to the place. So this is being designed by International Civil Aviation Authority, and once this ICAO designed navigation approach facility is now put in place. We will have, we can operate flights nearly 200 days in a year, which is good enough for Sikkim. As of now, I mean, the flight operates through visibility. So in and around Pakyan, we are developing a tourism village. We are trying to ensure that, you know, people who come for business, kind of to have the conventions, etc., they can stay for about a week and then hold their deliberations, business deliberations, and thereafter they can also visit the tourism destinations in the state, and it would be a conducted tour. Post-COVID, we also realized that, you know, we will have to ensure that, you know, people are all pre-booked. They pre-book their accommodation, they pre-book their travel plans, and that would also make it easier for us to track and then screen them and then provide for their conveniences, catering to all this hand hygiene and you know, the social distancing norms and the protocols and standard operating procedures that the government has formulated. We also are interested in a good brand creation, and another thing that the state government has recently taken a decision is to promote domestic tourism. In the homestay clusters, rural tourism itself is a big attraction for in regions, in this region. That combined with a purposive way of families spending their time in recreation, as also acquiring some skills and capacity. For example, we have chosen agro farming, for example. In fact, we have designed machines, and some of them are been applied for patent. And for example, there are 3 augers which rotate and then, you know, make it easier for people to make the plantation beds, and similarly dig soil digging so that, you know, the plants and saplings can be planted. So we want this to be a household kind of a vocation. People should embrace farming as a kind of a do-it-yourself hobby, and that way even the backsteads, even the home gardens can also be made use for growing. Already the plans are in place. Now we have identified about 14 clusters like Lachan, Lachung, Ringim, Pasingdang, district-wise, you know, Nathang, Machung, and so on. And each of them will have a cluster of homestays. Now the training will take place in either the community hall or the Panchayat Bhavan, some government community asset infrastructure, and the participants will stay in the homestays. So that way the homestays will get business. The travel and tour operators will actually be engaged in taking the participants to various destinations. We will have field visits. We will have exercises, you know, where they will actually have to go and then engage themselves in farming or maybe in metal fabrication. You know, you can have these ornamental steel kind of, you know, structures made out of by bending, roll bending, twisting, and scroll making, you know. So those kind of machines are also being designed. We want to focus on the do-it-yourself culture again, DIY culture. Now that, you know, there's a lot of wave against the use of imported goods, and this is all in the media, social media. I don't want to specifically name any country, but, you know, you will know the country that I am referring to. So there is a lot of focus on indigenous production of goods, and even Prime Minister has focused on this being self-reliant. The self-reliance as a goal that has to be pursued and embraced upon. It has to be internalized in the heart of the citizen, you know, and the local public. So towards this end also, we are trying to see that, you know, this domestic tourism is combined with building capacities and skills, so that people can engage in this do-it-yourself vocation, or in embracing a certain activity like farming or or kind of a metal industry and so on. And even tourism again has a number of areas in which, you know, we need to promote. Ethnic food, for example, should be made available. Ethnic dresses. We have very rich culture. We should have artifact. The tourist merchandise. So these are all the efforts that are again being taken in a very big way.
Sir, when is
Domestic tourism is allowed. Now the hotels are all open with 50% occupancy. I think
urban area also?
In urban area also, yeah. All hotels, restaurants, yeah, are now open. Gyms have also been opened with effect from today. And many hotels have also called up, and then while swimming pool and spa, etc., we will still, there would be some restrictions associated with such facilities, but hotels and restaurants and dining, etc., can really take place. Being considered for support for the hotels, homestays, tour operators, because one thing that they've all unanimously brought forward and submitted is the need for working capital. So government is again examined those homestays, hotels, travel tour operators who are registered, who have been registered under GST, who have been paying their taxes, and then they have been conducting their operations, complying with all the policies of the government. Those entities and assets, they will certainly be considered for some kind of soft loan. The state has already constituted a kind of economic revival committee. We are awaiting the recommendations of the economic revival committee, and many of these dispensations, relief packages, would be administered on the basis of the recommendations of the committee. Again, the amendment, a number of amendments and rule changes in the rules are also on the cards. Now, tourism department will be more or less the primary nodal agency for registration, renewal, issue of licenses, and we have already put up a proposal in this regard. Because right now the GMC and other urban development department, they also issue licenses, but then in future, we will also unify this. All operations will be digitized, digital operations. Service delivery would take place on a digital platform, and we would be very proactive in terms of engaging the tourists and knowing their requirements a priori. Ease of business is again a certain consideration, certainly a consideration. And all this adventure tourism, mountaineering, etc., will be kind of dovetailed with the kind of packages that we offer to make it much more attractive. We want that tourists and travelers who come to Sikkim should stay for a longer tenure, and we have come out with a wonderful handbook also. The Outlook agency has helped us make that handbook, and that again is a source of very rich information that tourists and travelers may want. And this then is the, by and large, the summary of what the strategies that the state government has thought about, conceived, and is getting enforced and implemented. So thank you, viewers. Thank you. No, we are making preparations. It's not that, we would wait till October, but as and when the government of India also, where the situation also eases, because the condition is a little unpredictable. There are so many factors which go into the decisions that the government may take in the near future, but things are although the unlock 1.0, now the unlock 2.0 will progress, and already there is a prediction that many of these hotspots the curve will now flatten out, and then the people will develop immunity, and then the declining trend will start taking place. We are also looking forward to them, because Sikkim tourism is connected to the rest of the situation in the rest of the states, especially people come from Mumbai, people come from Bengal, people come from all over so there the situation will have to assume a certain amount of normalcy before we also open out.